Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, Tiger?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, nothing much. Beginning of the week, Monday.
Yes, sir.
What are
Educational
we?
Monday,
Yeah,
man.
occasional Monday. Yeah, last Monday we talked about centralized exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
This Monday we're gonna cover decentralized exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we just started out like what's kind of been I guess your experience with using, a decentralized exchange. What do you think about them? Well,
Uh, I say you can find some of the underground projects much faster. As we mentioned in the first one, we talked about decentralized. By the time it kind of hit the centralized exchanges, unless it's a real big dog, you kind of late to the party. So like things like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, uh, Phantom Wallet, Core, Sui's Wallet, which is now Sushi. Like you finding stuff on there, you kind of like early to the party. Using stuff like the deck scanner, all of that. You kind of early to the party. Versus if you wait to the centralized side like Binance, Coinbase, Robinhood, you kind of like exit liquidity.
yeah, I agree, I think the easiest way to kind of differentiate the two, just kind, especially for people, the sneakerheads, like when you using a decentralized exchange, it's basically peer to peer. So you cutting out the middleman. Like you think if you're selling shoes or something like StockX, that's like a centralized exchange, because they're gonna charge you fees and all that type of stuff. But with the decentralized exchange, like I said, it's peer to peer. There's no middleman. So you're not having, the fees and all of that go along with it. So that's definitely a pro to using decentralized exchange. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
alongside that, like if you use a decentralized exchange, you will notice too, you don't have to what they call KYC, know your
Mm-hmm.
customer. So you don't have to put in your driver's license information, your social security number, and all of that. Like with Coinbase, of course, like they about want to know the room you was born in the hospital.
Facts.
Like seriously, like
They can
when you
take a selfie and everything.
yeah, and if you want to transfer some crap, like you gotta like, 'cause I just had that problem not too long ago. They wanted me to do a selfie, turn to the left, turn to the right, all of that. Like you said, well, you got Trader Joe, you got Jupiter. See, I mean, there's so many different decentralized exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just hitting it and sending it, you know. And so that's why, to me, like you said, it's harder to use them. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a learning curve to using the decentralized exchanges.
Yeah.
So you get to avoid the fees and all of that to go along with it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To piggyback off that, I say, you control your own keys, whereas, a lot of people say, if you don't got it on the cold wallet, nothing like that, it's not your keys. Um, with Dex exchanges, you kind of control your own key. You got your own seed phrase. It's not as secure as no cold wallet, which we'll do an episode on educating about different cold wallets as well in the future. But, you kind of control, your crypto stays in your wallet until you trade it. As you mentioned, they don't really require you to verify. Um, and then the censorship is more hard too. It's harder for governments to shut it down, you know. And then, but like some of the cons, as you mentioned as well, it's less beginner friendly. So, the interface can be tricky, something like Trader Joe, you gotta get in the weeds a little bit to do like the pancake swap and they don't make it easy for you. You really gotta dig into, educating yourself. We big on doing your own research. It's not financial advice, but that's when you see them big, you might see like we see Fartcoin doing all them 20x. You might see a 200x over there, you know what I'm saying? You also can see a 200x loss too, you know what I'm saying? It's real wild, wild west. Um, Lower liquidity on them dexes, so whereas Coinbase is gonna have, a large, I say a large liquidity pool, something like a DEX, it may have lower liquidity. I think it was just now in like November, December where people had some meme, I forgot the meme, we was talking about it, and it was like it has shot up, but because of the decentralized exchange they was using, they couldn't sell it because there wasn't no liquidity over there. Nobody was buying on that platform. So you had to educate yourself on that as well. And then of course, I've heard stories about Coinbase where the customer support is okay. You may or may not get fast responses. Decentralized exchanges, Hey, there's no, hey, if you mess up, it's on you. Hey, it ain't no daggone, ain't no customer support, so
Yeah, and add to that, I would say another learning curve for me personally, I had to learn when I first started tinkering with them a little bit last cycle is the gas fees and just
mm-hmm,
let's put. So if you using say Phantom, Jupiter, Radium, any of that, you have to hold Solana to
mm-hmm,
be able to swap. So say if you want to swap from a main to whatever, you have to have Solana and you use a port. It's not a lot, but you use a portion of a Solana to be able to swap. So if you don't
mm-hmm.
even hold Solana, you can't swap. The same with like Uniswap, that's under Ethereum. So you have to have Ethereum, so that's another learning curve too that it took me a while to get. Like you have to hold, whatever protocol it's under.
All right, Trader Joe, you need some Avalanche,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah, and that's definitely for a beginner. That's a lot to wrap your brain around. It's like, hold on, I got to make sure I got Solana or Ethereum or Avalanche, Sui, whichever blockchain you're using. You got to have that to be able to swap.
Mm-hmm. And Ethereum's gas fees be crazy.
Yeah, Ethereum horrible. Like I remember last cycle it was one. I forgot which meme it was, but it was under Ethereum, and like the amount I was trying to buy, like it wasn't nothing. It might have been $100 and some worth, but the gas fees was like $90. So who in the world gonna put $100 in a coin and you got to spend 90 in gas fees? So yeah, like you said, yeah, the Ethereum is horrible. And that's why Solana's so popular now. When you use Phantom and all that stuff, like it don't take hardly any Solana. Same with Sui. Like when you swapping under Sui, it takes very, very little Sui to
Mm-hmm.
swap. It doesn't cost much at all. Like I say, Ethereum is, woo, that's that diesel premium
No,
gas, boy.
facts.
Man,
Good old dinosaur Ethereum.
yeah.
And see, some people might be listening like, well, why would we even entertain, a decentralized exchange? It may come off as if we kind of bashing it. By any means, I'm personally not bashing. I'm sure you're not bashing it either. Of course, this ain't financial advice, but we're just giving it to you, authentic. We're being transparent about it. It ain't like we for centralized or for decentralized. It's just what we didn't learn in the sense of the benefits from them, pros and cons. Like I said, you get something on the doggone on this decentralized side, you might really smack them. Like I remember, like the folks who got what was it, like Dogelon, like Do,
Mhm.
like it's like the Doge Elon, but I think it was called like Dogelon. If you got that before it hit like an exchange, oh man. Or people who hit Sheeb, like Sheeb used to not be on an exchange. Like people found out about Sheeb late, but like if you was really in the weeds, like they call them like degens. If you was really on that, you found out about Sheeb months before it even became available on Coinbase or Binance or KuCoin or Mexi or stuff like that. And when it got listed, as we mentioned earlier, you became like the exit liquidity because I can't even imagine. Like I smacked Sheep on Coinbase. Like, can you imagine who had Sheep when it was on the deck side?
Yeah, like, you got Bonk and a lot of them. Like, you just think about this cycle. Think of the Trump coin, for example.
Mm-hmm.
When the Trump coin came out, it was on Phantom, which is under Solana. That's a DEX. Same, if you had got it before it hit Coinbase and stuff, you would have hit a nice little lick. But yeah, that's really whenever you hear the stories of people turning $100 into 1 million, $500 into 10 million, I'm gonna say it's a 99.5% chance they had to get it on the DEX because
100%.
once they hit the centralized exchanges,
Mm-mm.
it's not gonna multiple that much. Not enough to turn no $100 into no million. That ain't gonna happen.
Even hundreds to 100,000. Like, it is crypto, but you still gotta, that's still some lottery type, that's some decentralized exchange vibes. You exit liquidity a lot of times when the project, like the coins that we just named, these projects usually useless. It's not like a Solana who actually has some use case, Bitcoin who actually has, the scarcity of it makes it like a digital gold, so it got some type of use case. Of course, I'm Bitcoin to the core. I love Bitcoin stacking sats. You call me a maxi all day long, but some of this stuff actually really do got some type of use case. It depends on who you speak it to. They'll be like, no, that stuff a distraction. Buy Bitcoin, stack your sats. But Sui, I feel like Sui gonna do well. Solana gonna do, like them coins you can still make some change off of, but them coins, but they don't got really no use case like She, Bonk, like them meme coins, Trump. I know they trying to make, on the back end, make them seem like they got something beneficial from them, but man, you hit them jumps on the dexes first before they get listed on them mains. That's when them gains come in.
Yeah, that's how you get rich off a little bit of money. Like,
Man,
I mean,
and the ones that I got experience with, I've used Radium, Trader Joe, Pancake Swap, Sushi
Phantom,
Swap, trying to think
you
of some other
Phantom,
ones. Um,
Phantom.
Phantom Core Wallet, 'cause that's where the Kakinu was on Core Wallet, if I ain't mistaken. Um, Uniswap, um, handful of them, but
Then the
it's
ones
way
on
more. It's what you say?
I said you forgot the ones on the Sui you
Uh,
Sui, like Cetus and
oh yeah, the Navi
Equal.
Pool.
Yeah, yeah, all that stuff on
Um, I was about to say, and it's so many, like it's endless. I
Equal.
can't even name them all. Like I haven't even touched the surface on all of them that's out there. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, that's
yeah, what you say?
no, I was agreeing with you. I said that's a fact. It's too many to name. Like it's some out here. I'm pretty sure that I know it's some out here I've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause I really don't. It's impossible to keep up with all of these different, with all these different dexes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like one like Hyperliquid. That's one that's new this cycle. Like I haven't did any swaps or anything on Hyperliquid.
Oh, the junk that's the ticker is hype.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
that's
neither.
one. Like I said, I ain't never done nothing on
And it
it.
be running.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, shoot. Outside of that, I got this little compare and contrast that I share, but that's pretty much all I got on my end when it comes to the dexes.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, we hit them left, right, east, west, north, south.
It's showing on your end.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so this from the blockchain console. I said council console, and you can see the website up there. You can check it out. Of course, always do your own research, but they just have the centralized exchanges versus the decentralized exchanges, and then they say one regulation. So on the centralized side, you got a single entry, single. Oh, I can't read today. Single entity on the platform itself authorizes and regulates centralized exchanges versus decentralized side, it works upon smart contract technologies with no control of any centralized entity. Uh, then you got two, your verification, kind of like what we mentioned already. On the DEX side, usually not usually not verifying versus on the centralized side, like your Coinbase, your Robinhood, what you call the KYC, they want, as you mentioned, shoot, your social number, where you born. They want you to do a selfie, whole nine. Security wise on three, uh, based off involvement of third parties, trade might be at risk due to cyber attacks, data manipulation and hacking. As far as the centralized side, on the DEX side, believe it or not, provides high security. Since a group of expert, let's see, they kind of cross verify every trade. So that sound like, um, the way they make it sound like it got more security. Four, as far as popularity, um, on the centralized side, they are famous across consumers versus on the decentralized side, uh, they are becoming more famous, and more prominent. than the centralized exchange networks, but it's not there yet. As we say, you gotta do your own research. It's kind of like the degens that do like the decentralized versus your typical retail people who do your centralized. Especially when you get into the weeds of like your meme coins and stuff like that. Five, you got your risk factor. On the centralized side, the network is responsible for security versus on the DEX side. Um, on the DEX side, you got consumers are accountable for the security. So, you're responsible for your own stuff. So that could be a pro and a con, you know. Six, you got your fees. Centralized exchange is expensive as compared to private networks because the third parties always engage in trade process, whereas it it is cost efficient with zero commission and trade fees. I would argue that, because we were just talking about gas fees, so it's not like a Coinbase gonna put they ticket on top of it. Like we've had conversations about that where Coinbase your price might be one price, and then by the time you actually make the purchase, is much larger than what the market is showing. So that may be what they're referring to. But that you definitely got gas fees and things of that nature on the deck side as well. Customer service is available on the centralized side. It's not provided except if it may be available for community forums, but just stick with it, ain't provided. I've never had any, uh, thankfully, no issues with the decentralized side, but I haven't heard anybody say that they've had, or I've been able to get in contact with somebody if they messed up. And then eight examples of the centralized, you got, as we mentioned earlier, Binance, Coinbase. Uh, can't believe they still got FTX on there. Kraken, KuCoin, um, uh, Crow, which we use for our DCA portfolio, and then several dexes, which all of those that they got on here, I've never used. But like we mentioned, Radium, Trader Joe, all the ones that we mentioned already, um, are just a handful of decentralized exchanges.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, shoot, you got anything else for 'em?
No, I think we skinned them left, right, up, down.
I agree.
I think everybody knows at least, on the surface, what a Dex is.
Hmm. Definitely, do your own research. Just take this as, starter information, you know, but please do your own research. But outside of that, hey, we see y'all Wednesday. Y'all made it this far. What you say you made it this far? Hey, go
Mm.
ahead, like, share,
Uh,
subscribe.
leave a comment. Yeah, thank you for tuning in to Sats and Crypto.
Hmm.
Go by the Sat Boys. Catch y'all on Wednesday.
Yeah, what's this? Episode 33.
Yeah,
Kareem.
yeah. Double tray. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Tiger Sass out, man.